airplanes performing extraordinary manoeuvres.
It's the largest aerobatic formation team in the country.
Freedom formation. Freedom, second.
Freedom Formation made its debut at the Pacific Air Show on the Gold Coast last year. The 13-man crew aren't your typical airshow pilots.
We've got builders, we've got accountants, we've got business owners, we've got retirees.
They've even built their own planes. But what makes this team unique is their ability to fly as one.
The aircraft by itself actually isn't really that impressive in terms of its abilities compared to some of the others. But when you put all the smoke on, it's an incredible thing to see.
Flying instructor Jeremy Miller was approached by one of his students to put together a crew for the air show.
A few of the guys who I've been working with for quite a number of years expressed a bit of interest, and so I put a shout out, and 13 aircraft later, here we are.
But he insists it's not easy.
The biggest challenge with leading this sort of team is maintaining that awareness as to what everyone's doing, what they should be doing.
The team was invited back to perform at this year's air show. At the head of the formation is Trent Stewart, one of the few professional pilots on the team.
One of the wonderful things about this group of guys is that everybody is down to earth, nobody has an ego, everybody's ready to learn, and I think that truly is the secret to a formation team.
Along with Angela Garvey, their first and only female pilot.
We're all equal. We have to have the same ability, the same amount of dedication.
Performing at the air show is an expensive hobby. Team members spend more than $10,000 each just to cover the cost of fuel for their practice flights. But they say the experience is worth it.
Very much. Great day for an air show. Hope the folks on the ground like the display.
Danielle Maher, ABC News, Gold Coast.
It's a Northern Territory tradition unlike any other. Darwin's Beer Can Regatta is held every year at the city's famous Mindle Beach. This year marks a half a century of the event, where participants build boats out of beer cans or something similar and hope for the best.
Ahead of its maiden voyage, 1 year's worth of work went into this beauty, the drinking of nearly 3,000 cans of a beer that inspired the theme for this team.
It's VB, so VB for Virgin, and we're not the most bridely ladies, but we are today. Today's our special day.
It's their first time competing in the event. It's been going strong since 1974.
Our first time building, we're not sure it will stay together, but fingers crossed. We're really happy to I just feel like we could walk on water today, though. I just feel like elated.
Part race, part water fight, the Beer Can Regatta is the stuff of top-end myth and legend. Tourists enjoying the Darwin dry season flock to the beach for the fun taking place on land as well as on water.
And there's a song throwing contest earlier on, which I missed, so
you haven't missed it.
Oh, is it on soon, is it? It's coming up. Awesome. Good and ready to go.
It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Just boat out of a beer can. Wow.
I mean, if this doesn't encapsulate Darwin, I don't know what does. This is just such a gorgeously random event.
There are teams that have travelled thousands of kilometres and local school kids using milk cartons who've built their boats in class. Many come together just in time for the big day, but not in time for a float test.
We didn't work this yet, so we put it in for the first time today, and it's floating better than we thought.
This year's winners bounced back from last year's defeat. But it's not all about winning.
Bloody hard work, team did great, we all jumped in, took it quarter by quarter, made it in the end.
Anyone who doesn't have to swim back can celebrate. Jacqueline Green, ABC News.
From beer boats in Darwin to a river race in a dry riverbed, they certainly do things differently in the NT. In the Red Centre, the Todd River in Alice Springs was filled today, not with any water, but with plenty of boats and seafarers. The Henley on Todd Regatta, billed as the world's only dry river boat race, attracted a crowd of hundreds and plenty of colourful participants. The event is now in an incredible 62nd year. This year, it nearly didn't go ahead after volunteer organisers missed a funding application deadline, but was saved with donations and a community effort. It's only been cancelled twice otherwise in 6 decades, once during the pandemic, and before that, 1 year when the river flowed. And that's the latest regional news. I'm Amy Colford. Thanks for your company. We'll see you next time.
Iran has the ability to light the entire region on fire.
Whatever they need, it would go very badly for Israel. It would go very badly for Israel.
If Hezbollah is not going to stop, we can turn Beirut into a football court.
A war on all fronts.
There's only one guy that...
We're certainly seeing an increase in the usage of the network, roughly 5 to 10%.
Capital cost was a little more than a conventional vehicle, but the operating costs far outweigh that capital investment over the 4-year lifespan.
We're certainly seeing an increase in the usage
About 2,200 electric cars are registered in regional parts of South Australia, up from just over 100 3 years ago. Eugene Poirier, ABC News, Mount Gambier.
A group of regional Australian beekeepers are creating a buzz in the United States with an innovative new hive design. The business was started in a suburban garage and is trying to bring beekeeping into the 21st century.
About 2,200 electric cars are registered in regional parts of South Australia, up from just over 100 3 years ago. Eugene Poirier, ABC News, Mount Gambier.
But all worthwhile to ensure the bees.
A group of regional Australian beekeepers are creating a buzz in the United States with an innovative new hive design. The business was started in a suburban garage and is trying to bring beekeeping into the 21st century.
I'm a third-generation commercial beekeeper.
My
grandmother started
these
beekeeping
beehives
back
are going to a remote area near Cobar in central western New South Wales.
Back on the mainland,
it's a major undertaking, but all worthwhile to ensure the bees are in prime honey-making territory.
A man arrested and 4 people, including police officer, injured after a crash and stabbing in Sydney's south. The country Liberal Party sweeps to power in the Northern Territory after 8 years in
I'm a
opposition.
third-generation commercial beekeeper.
And the Bulldogs booked their spot in the AFL finals after beating GWS in the coastal
area. Back on the mainland, South
A man arrested and 4 people, including a police officer, injured after a crash and stabbing. Israel has declared an emergency situation in the country's north as Hezbollah launches a major attack from Lebanon. And the Bulldogs booked their spot in the AFL finals after beating GWS in Ballarat. The Iran-backed militant group says it launched 320 rockets out northern Israel to avenge the killing of Fuad Shukor, one of its top commanders in Beirut last month. The Israeli military said earlier it launched preemptive strikes on Hezbollah targets in the southern Lebanon after its intelligence determined the group was preparing an attack. The heavy exchange of fire threatens to trigger an all-out war that could draw in the United States, Iran and militant groups across the region. For more on this, Middle East correspondent Alison Horn has the latest from Jerusalem.
It's been a tense few hours across this part of the Middle East. Hezbollah launched a series of rocket attacks into northern Israel. They say more than 300 rockets were fired in just the space of about 1 hour into areas in the north of Israel. Hezbollah says it was in response to the killing of a senior Hezbollah commander just last week. But this has put Israel on immediate alert. There have been a number of security situational incidents that have been carried out and a number of security measures that have been put in place, including what has effectively been deemed a state of emergency across some parts of the country in response to this attack, which is being seen as a major escalation between Hezbollah and Israel. And Hezbollah is warning that this is just the first wave in what will be a prolonged response over the killing of the commander. We haven't seen any rockets that have come into Israeli airspace in at least an hour and a half now. So it does seem that the immediate situation has stopped, but certainly Israel's military says it is preparing preparing for further retaliation, which Hezbollah itself has warned there will be. So Israel says it had been gathering intelligence about this planned Hezbollah attack, and it says that it actually launched a number of preemptive strikes into southern Lebanon throughout the night here local time. It says it struck thousands of rocket launches that were planning Israel's military fired into Israel, not just northern Israel, but importantly central Israel. Israel's military claims that Hezbollah was planning to fire rockets at areas like Tel Aviv, major population centres, which would involve the use of long-range rockets. Now, there is some commentary among Israeli commentators that these preemptive strikes have actually thwarted the range and scope of the Hezbollah attack. So we didn't actually see any rockets being fired towards Tel Aviv this morning. Those rockets were centred mainly around that northern area on the border and a little bit south into the northern parts of Israel. But if indeed Hezbollah was planning to launch rockets into central Israel, that would be considered a major escalation in both the type of weaponry that it's using and the type of targets that it's going after. And this is what the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had to say a short while ago.
In consultation with the Minister of Defence and the Chief of Staff, we instructed the IDF to act proactively to remove the threat. The IDF has since been working vigorously to thwart the threats. It destroyed thousands of rockets aimed at the north of the country. It also thwarts many other threats and operates with great power,
This is what the
both
Israeli
in the
Prime Minister
fence
Benjamin
and
Netanyahu had to say a short while ago.
in consultation with the Minister of Defence and the Chief of Staff, we instructed the IDF to act proactively to remove the threat. The IDF has since been working vigorously to thwart the threats. It destroyed thousands of rockets aimed at the north of the country. It also thwarts many other threats and operates with great power, both in the fence and the